That was PEARS, y'all. That was PEARS. And we're joined by the writer director of PEARS, Ryan McCurdy, and the star of the show, who we got his hair. We managed to immortalize his hair before it departed forever. I'm sorry I always bring that up, but I just love that we managed to just get it just before it went. We managed to save it
we
in
saw
a
it going in
we
the
got
film,
your
though.
hair.
Like, the very first scene when I'm getting out of bed or whatever, I'm like, oh man, I'm so fucking bold back here. Like,
yeah.
But that was the beauty of it. That was the essence of the character. That's what made it great, you know.
And there's nothing better than when, like we talked about with Bond,
it wouldn't be as funny.
Pierce Brosnan gets that scar on his face, and it's like that's what the Bond character is, and so it's like capturing.
He needs his thing,
capturing the real life hair loss.
His scar.
Yeah, we do things for real here.
The lack of hair.
I think my personality is the scar.
No, I mean, but that's a condition. Like, you can't fix that.
Okay, so we're doing just kind of like a hangout and Q&A. I have, of course, the classic question ready to go. Anybody hanging out with us, if you have,
bring it on.
If you have any specific questions, hit us in the comments. But of course, I have to ask the first question that always is asked: how did you come up with the idea for this? What is the genesis of this story?
Charlie, that's a great question, and I'll answer that question. So,
every question I ask
anyway,
is great.
You need to leave this Q&A up because I get that question so many times, and it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna refer you a link right here.
You just record it. So, so PEARS came out of originally it wasn't called PEARS. That wasn't the original title, but so it started because I was going back and forth from work and listening to a lot of Raymond Chandler novels on like audio tape, and those are books like The Big Sleep, The Long Goodbye, Lady in the Lake, but they're all mysteries surrounding this detective called Philip Marlowe. But that's like the genesis of what everybody associates as film noir, like the hard-boiled detective. And of course, I've been friends with Kevin for years, so I wanted to make a movie with Kevin. And very quickly, Kevin's acting has always reminded me, or it seems like he is trying to emulate Chandler Bing from Friends. So I thought,
it's not my acting; it's just my personality in general, right?
Right. You try to be Chandler Bing. So I was like, okay, well, the character's name will be like Matthew Perry, the late Matthew Perry.
No way.
So it's Perry Matthews. So that's how we came up with the name for the movie. But then the movie originally,
Matthews, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
So originally, the movie was going to be.
I didn't know that.
I don't think he knew that. I don't think I told him that story.
That's funny.
But the movie was originally going to be something titled, like, I think I was, at one point we titled it Footprints, we titled it Coattails, but the idea was like, he is like trying to follow in the footsteps of somebody else. But then, and I wanted to maybe get some like classic noir title for the movie, because I was just writing the story. I didn't know what the title was going to be. And then eventually a lot of people were like, maybe you should just call it PEARS, because you refer to him as PEARS a lot in the script. So I was like, all right, cool, we'll call it PEARS. And I think it's a great title because it's just like, what is that? What's that movie? Is it about a fruit? And then you kind of have to be like, no, it's this detective movie.
Dude,
like,
I pitched Footprints to you, and that was pre-PEARS. And then the moment it became PEARS, I was like, nope, that's quirky and fun. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I didn't write down any questions.
You didn't write questions. I told you got to come in and be like, what's some questions about?
But every question I would ask would be great.
All right. Well, I'll ask a question to Kevin. Kevin, what was your thoughts on the script when you got it, and like, what did you what was your favorite moment making the movie? Like all that. Just tell me what was your vibe.
On the script it's kind of weird because there was so many drafts where you're like, here's the first 10 pages. We're just gonna read the first 10 pages. All right, here's like 15 pages. Here's 20 pages. It's just like, all right, yeah. Like, and it was just so interesting because like the ending was like something that was like so hard to pin down. There was like so many different things where, especially because like we're working on like a low budget and all that kind of stuff. Because I know you talked about
a no budget.
Yeah, a no budget.
A no budget. There was like, we only spent like $3,000 to make the movie, and most of that went towards food for the cast and crew when we were shooting it. So,
and that was out of his own pockets. Not like he had someone producing.
Yeah, we didn't go to anybody and we're like, we need money. We just were like, here's I have $3,000 I've saved. Let's make a movie.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, so it was, I don't know, it was always interesting to see you like to where, because we had Marco Polos back and forth. Like it felt like for like almost like a year or something like that, just talking about what the script could possibly be. And when you started actually finally writing it, like I don't know, it started to form up a little bit, but at the same time, you still didn't know exactly how it was gonna end. So it was still just kind of like this vague idea. Like the Tiffany character was just a one-off character. She was just this funny girl who comes in and is like absurd. And then you're like, should I even take her out? Like she's nothing there for the story. Like I'm like, no, she's hilarious. Like you got to keep that character in there. And then eventually she became the villain, which was like perfect. Because I still remember reading that first full draft. Because I thought for so long you were like, it's gonna be Sarah Hightower. I want the femme fatale. It's gonna be Sarah Hightower. And like every idea you pitched to me, I was like, that just doesn't seem like it's gonna work. Or like, you know, especially for like our budget, like we could do it justice. Like if we had a budget, but I was like, for what we got, I don't think it's gonna work. And then when I got a hold of that first full draft, and I was like, it was Tiffany. What? That was
Tiffany?
Like, okay, that's perfect. That's great.
Tiffany?
And it might have just been because I was so surprised by it. But
so you guys, Kevin, you saw it for the first time when it premiered in Evansville, and that was the really, you know, the fun and poetic thing of this whole experiment was that the whole movie was produced, shot in Evansville, put together in this basement, and then premiered in Evansville. That was the first time you saw it all the way through, correct?
Yeah.
So
I'd only seen the opening scene, and then I think Ryan, me and my roommate showed up to his place, and he showed us a couple of scenes, like the interrogation scene.
And I recall
that was like the first time.
I recall your reaction was, that turned out well. I like that. Wow,
you're surprised.
So what?
Well, here's the thing.
What was the moment?
What
was the moment
like,
though?
The first time I watch myself, I always hate it. Like I'm always just cringing. Like. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I lived with the script so long and I'd already seen footage.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't hate watching myself in this. There was a couple moments here and there where I was like,
But what was the moment where you went, they did it? You know, because like on my end of things, McCurdy comes to me. I read the script way back and read a whole bunch of iterations and all that, and I'd provide my feedback. McCurdy would hate me and not talk to me for a few days, but then I'd get another draft.
That's true.
And
true.
And I'd always remind him,
that's
I'm your
true.
best friend in the world when it comes to this, dude, because everybody else is going to say, yeah, it's great, and just leave it at that. And then I'm just like, this sucks, and this needs to be fixed. But
well, you need those
for
people.
me,
like as much as like some people hate them, like you absolutely need those people.
I
would I think that's the one lesson I've learned is that you definitely, when you're making something, it's a good thing you have other people's have eyes on it so that they see like all the cracks. Because Kevin, I've made movies over the years and like you've seen the issues or the problems, and it's almost like too late to even go back and fix them by that point. But it's nice to have somebody who's in the edit and being like, Ryan, this doesn't make sense. We need this here or this here. And I mean, like, and to be honest, like all the great film, we talk about Martin Scorsese, like I don't even remember the name of his editor, or Quentin Tarantino. They have like these amazing editors that really go in and with a fine tooth and comb and just like clean up things and kind of pull out things that make things a little bit better than what maybe the director intended. But we have a couple questions. So our good friend Eric Pasquarelli, who I will say, I said thank you at the end of this, and it really wasn't, if it wasn't for him for making, because he had made a movie a couple of years prior to this one called Chasing Rabbits that you can watch on Tubi, and so I was like kind of inspired to be like, hey, like you made a whole feature and like you got it on, did all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I think I could do this too. And then he has another movie out recently called Dracula's Count's Kin, again, also on Tubi. But he was asking, did you ever accidentally use color forms instead of chloroform? No, that is not. We never did. That
didn't happen.
That was really dumb. Never happened.
Debunked.
But I will say this. I will say, I don't know if people catch it, but when you watch the movie, when he says "babe" at the bar, the implication was that they got the chloroform from Tiffany to use on Kevin. Like they went and met up at the bar and Tiffany got them some chloroform, like she's some kind of weird dealer or like has the stash of chloroform and somehow maybe knows Sly and Richie or something. But it's like a detail in the background that I don't
That's
know.
like
if people
that's when the
recognize or not.
plot becomes like the No Time to Die episode. It's
It's-
just like it works.
Well, no, I mean if you watch, but if you watch like all the old like noirs, like you watch like the movie like The Big Sleep, like there are so many weird plot holes that don't make any sense, or like it gets confusing and convoluted. But that's kind of the charm of like the genre, so to speak. So I just thought that would be kind of a fun detail as far as a clue at the very end of the movie. Is then he's like, oh wait, he said babe at the bar. Tiffany was at the bar. Wait a minute, and then like
That's
all
your
these little
side hustle.
clues.
Like,
Okay, guys, Brian
Chloroform.
Bellerjoe.
Brian Bellerjoe. That's
Bellerjoe?
that's my uncle.
Okay,
Yeah.
your uncle is asking how many days did it take to shoot it? It was 12.
So it was well, I guess it was.
It was under
13
2
initially.
weeks, which is remarkable. And that's the
Yeah,
way it should
but we
be.
were like
It should
every
be
day.
quick like that, you know.
But I mean, we condensed every day. There were days we probably could have shot more stuff. We only shot like there were most of the days we only shot for like 6 hours. We could have. I mean, if we really were going crazy, we could have tried to shoot a bunch of 8-hour days. But I don't know if we never. There was maybe 1 or 2 days where we did really long days. But that was only because
packing all that into just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's the way it should be, and it's
yeah. Because I
you
could have
all,
done
but it's
the
great.
Christopher Nolan like low indie budget thing. We're like, oh, we're gonna shoot on the weekends, and then we're gonna do, and it's just it would stretch everything out, and we never get the movie done.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, we gotta shoot it in 2 weeks. And then some of the days it was like we were at the High Towers, or not High Towers house, the Archer's house, and like we shot all of those scenes in that same day. We shot all of the scenes we shot at PEARS apartment was at the main phase 1, which is a card shop in Evansville, and it just had this really cool design. And the building used to be, I guess, a construction office a long time ago. Then it was a Thrifty Nickel, and then a buddy of mine ended up getting it and now has a card shop there. But I thought it was a cool place that we could use because it's just a unique location as his apartment / office. But so we shot all of those scenes in one day, but those were like the longer days. But yeah, we shot it in 13 days, and then we went back and shot 2 more scenes after the fact, and maybe got some B-roll as well. But those were only like 2 separate days, like later.
Did those scenes come about by way of when we first got together to? Because the way it happened was McCurdy sends me a hard drive. I get to cutting. I'm just sending him scene after scene, and then after doing initial cuts on the whole movie, he comes to my house, sits in this basement, and we go crazy for 2-3 days, drinking and yelling at each other, and and
about paper
fleshing
clips.
it out, and then about paper clips, and then eventually that'd be a good poll. Did you notice the paper clips?
Yeah.
And then
did you notice paper clips?
And then eventually it was like we need a couple of pickups, and it was 2, right? It was the staircase scene with the blue-haired lawyer, and it was the breaking into the laptop scene. Tenacity.
So the laptop scene, the reason before the laptop scene was like twofold, because I was like, when we finished it, I was like, did we not give enough detail for people to realize that like how he finds Hightower's house? Because this movie is very like he goes here, then he goes here, then he goes here, and then he goes here, and it's like he needs to know all those things.
Yeah.
So that was part of it, and then the other thing was, I think Kevin. This was something Kevin had suggested. He was like, well, we never get a scene where he like tries to call Hollis himself, and like tries to just call him.
And also it was
That's
like,
why
how
the
does he
big
get
thing
into the
was
laptop? It was because before it was like he just kind of did, right? Like he just like it.
But no, Kevin, you were gonna say something.
Well, I think my big thing was just like he goes from like he's probably fine, he's probably just sleeping with a married woman, blah blah blah. But then he like goes on the case, and you never see that like him like, well, maybe something is wrong here, kind of a situation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I wanted. Like I wanted the moment of like, okay, but like, what if he is missing? And like I kind of want that kind of like the character development, like at least show that even if he's not super concerned, there is some kind of concern there. He is going on this mission just in case.
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
That like it
Yeah.
slowly
'Cause that was-
sneaks up
that was
on them,
the-
and then all at once, it's like, okay, I have to go do this thing, you know? Because even
Yeah.
when back when this all started, I remember first reading it and being like, this is cool. This is like if and I can't remember if I put it this way or if you put it this way, McCurdy. But
You did.
I was like,
you said you put
this
it
is like
this way.
if Batman went missing and suddenly Robin had to find him. That's what this is. Except Robin is dumb. but the whole thing, I remember for a long time it was like, but Pears has one superpower. What is that? His superpower is his ability to just BS. He just anytime, and you watch the movie, anytime he's in a pickle, he just BS's his way through it, and then he kind of lucks out. Like you really are selling nudes, personal nudes online, like that whole situation. But
he's like,
I think that's his actual superpower is luck, like because I feel like
luck is
bullshitting.
because
Like,
that's like they're tied together because it's just like I'm just gonna like make something up real quick, and then at the end it's like, how are you gonna BS your way out of this one, Pears? That's where she actually challenges.
Yeah,
that
Pears, how are you gonna BS your way out of this one?
So of course, Eric Pasquarelli wants to know about craft services. He wants to know if peanut butter sandwiches and cheese pizza was served, or if hot dogs had ketchup on them. That's what Eric wants to know.
If my wife would come downstairs, if she's watching this, she could tell you all about the craft service. She'd probably run downstairs any second now. She's watching this upstairs.
Would Eric Pasquarelli be able to eat
I'm
any
waiting
of
for
it?
her to come downstairs. Any minute, guys. She'll come downstairs. She'll tell us all about craft services. But his second
She's like,
question
I'm taking care
about
of the kids, Ryan. You're
stores-
busy. Like,
Okay, he said,
The kids
how
are
did you
asleep.
get permission to film at the stores, and were they friendly and helpful?
Stores. Okay, so the first store, the
Phone store?
High Towers, the phone store. She's coming. She's coming, guys. Watch out.
Yeah, she's coming.
The phone store was,
I'm just
we
gonna play
shot
some
that
Donkey Kong real
at
quick.
one of my close friend Dan Hyatt's store.
Okay.
And so we already knew, like I already knew ahead of time that was probably going to be one of the locations. You want to tell us about craft service real quick? Here, you can put this in your ear and then you can hear Kevin and Charlie.
What am I supposed to say?
I don't know. You tell us about the craft service. Tell us
was
about
there
craft
peanut butter
service.
sandwiches and cheese pizza?
That's all I wanna
think
know.
that was the question.
Tell us about what
And
was
was
your,
there
how did
hot
you
ketchup
come
on hot
about?
dogs?
She put a lot of effort into the craft
She
service.
did.
Yes, I did. I made food.
What'd you
But-
make?
Yeah, but how did you? but you were very like specific. You
I
were
never
like,
got any food.
You were very specific. You were
Yes.
like, okay, I need to find out everybody's. What did you do?
Yeah, so like I went and I found out if people had like allergies or anything like that.
Right.
Google form. Trying to figure out just like how can you buy in bulk so that you can save money, and Costco pizza is pretty cheap too.
Yeah. Well, you
Nice.
were like the producer / like line producer, so you had
Yeah.
to make sure that I didn't spend too much money on the movie.
Oh yes, I was definitely making sure that budget was.
You were like, let's keep it to
3,000.
like 3,000,
Yeah.
Ryan. Let's not go crazy here.
Mhm.
Because I wanted car explosions, and you were like, we don't have the money for that.
Pretty effective for
not.
3,000. And again, that's just like basic. I always say no budget because you're just food.
Yeah.
Just food. You know?
That was the most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. We spent. I mean, I spent a little bit of money on some equipment that I
Yeah.
think was. I'm
And you
glad I
you
had.
came in with a lot of equipment.
Yeah,
too.
so it wasn't like I didn't have a camera or lenses.
But the
or
simple
any of
approach,
that
though,
stuff.
too, you picked out one lens for the most part and just applied that to everything, right? Just kept it.
We had
it's
we
more
had 3 lenses. I had 3
performance-based.
lenses.
Yeah.
3? Okay.
I had 3 lenses
Okay.
for the whole movie that I primarily used.
Okay.
But yeah, I had all that stuff. Like I ended up, I had all that equipment, so I didn't really have to get anything new. But question about the stores though was the first one was my friend Dan Hyatt's, who's has a phone store, and it is called iFix Phones. So if you're in Evansville, Indiana, you can get your picture taken in front of the store. Be like, this was in the movie Pears.
Dan will love that.
The other
He's
store,
like, oh man, people are just
Dan
showing up
will
to the
love
store
that.
taking pictures.
And then you get your phone fixed there as well. And all those pop vinyls that are there, those are actually in the store. Here, hold on. Let me move my seat just a little. Ugh. So the pop vinyls are actual staple of the store. So if you want to buy some pops, you can buy pops there.
Nice.
The comic book store, unfortunately, is about to close, which I found out recently, which is kind of sad, but it is called Secret Headquarters. And I think it's kind of fun that we had it in the movie because when you watch the film, I always think the movie reminds me a lot of Clerks crossed with The Long Goodbye, but like the Clerksness of it is very like that's instilled in the comic book store. And I guess the owner of the comic book store has connections, not with Kevin Smith per se, but like one of Kevin Smith's associates. So I think that's kind of fun. So there's that. And then what was the other store? The
Motel.
The motel. Well, no, not the motel. Well, the motel's a store, I guess. It's a company. But yeah, that one was a little tricky because like we had a location manager who helped us out. It was her uncle. Because you're making a movie with like family and friends. And they kind of had an in with the motels on that strip. So we just kind of went on the day and just asked them if we could use their location. And they were like, "You're not doing anything illegal?" We're like, "No, we're not doing anything illegal." And they're like, "Okay." So that was fine. And then and they were actually really helpful and nice.
So nice. Sometimes they were like too helpful. There were
Like-
some evening scenes where some birds were very loud.
So that scene where Kevin's sitting there and like talking on the phone with Jessica, like Lily's on the phone across the parking lot, reading the other lines. He's on the phone trying to act, and then there's birds chirping like extremely loud.
So loud.
And at one point I had to go over and like clap really loud. And of course we're losing daylight and everything, which is we were supposed to. It was supposed to be like a dusk scene.
That is
But
Kevin's
then,
scene, though.
All the
Like,
birds.
That
Just like a
yeah.
cloud of birds.
that's
Yes.
one take.
And then
of
while
Kevin,
we're shooting it, but it's multiple. I mean, we shot it multiple times, but then
but
while
he
we're
nails
shooting
it, and it
one of-
ended up being a
one-
single
he
take,
does.
and he
That was the
kills
most
it.
stressful scene of the entire shoot. Like for me personally, like because we were losing
Yeah.
daylight, because we had the birds, because I memorized that like right before. Like I had Lily and I were like reading over it like over and over again because I was like memorized from like all that stuff earlier, and I was like for the monologue, I'll be able to look at it like during like dinner break and all that kind of stuff, and I still didn't have it like fully memorized. And so the fact that we were losing daylight, the fact that we were competing with sound, and then on top of it, like I had it like only 90% down. I was just like, so I was worried it came out like trash, and I watched
And
it
then
and I was like,
and then
"Oh,
the
it's not bad."
clerk, yeah, one of the clerks came out and was like saw that I had done the clapping, and so the birds started chirping, and I'm just like real focused and trying to make sure Kevin's focused because he's trying to memorize his lines and say everything and do like incredible acting. And then of course, like the clerk's just like, "Oh." Like trying to
can,
get the
like,
birds
hear
away.
it.
And Lily's like, "They're trying." And I'm like, I'm mad, but I'm also like, I appreciate they're trying to help. And Lily's
Yeah.
like, they're clapping. I'm like, I know what they're doing. It's
And,
fine. Let's
and
just keep
they
going.
waited to turn the light on.
Well,
for
I
the
asked them to do
sign.
that. Yeah. Because I was like, "Oh, can we get that shot of
They're
the
like,
sign?
yeah,
Come
we'll
on?"
wait to turn it on.
Yeah.
Just let
Yeah.
us know when you're ready. It was they were
Yeah,
just
they
very
were
nice.
nice. And then the other one was the bar, which was fun to
Oh.
shoot at. Because that was like that was probably our biggest challenging day because we actually had background that
Lily,
day.
how did you prepare for
so-
your role?
I learned my lines.
And did you tap into
We
your
only had 2 lines.
inner
We had 2 lines in the whole
BITCH?
movie.
I tapped into, you just like summoned the high schooler that still lives inside of me and brought all that back out.
Oh, you should let her out then. If she's living inside.
cracks me
Should
up.
let her
That
out.
moment always cracks me up.
You're
Um,
like 3.
I came up with you're like a 3
Yeah.
line. Yeah.
I got a lot of
I'm a
laughs too
10,
when we
yeah.
premiered the movie. That was good. That was
Just
good.
the whole like.
But
you
that's
shouldn't be doing the TEF. Just
yeah. Well, originally in the
So
original, like one of the
awesomely
earlier
obnoxious.
drafts, one of the earlier drafts, like he just goes and he just runs into Tiffany, so there's no other friends with him. And then like Lily was like, "Oh, there should be," and I wanted to write roles for Lily and then our friend Jenny as well. And so like I was like, "Oh, well, she can have 2 friends that are there, and like she can pretend like she doesn't really like them, but she's obsessed with them. Like it's a weird, crazy thing that she does." But yeah, like that was a lot of fun. But yeah, we had a lot of background that day, and like everybody came out was just so like game, and they were just like, "Oh, I want to do this. This is so much fun." And we had to move people around. But if you watch it pretty closely, you can tell like people that are on one side are the same people on the other side because we only had 10 people, so I had to make it look like we had way more.
That was definitely the Costco pizza day. 'Cause
Yeah,
there
that was Costco
a lot
pizza
of
day.
people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people sat and ate pizza, and it was great. And then we kind of married that because I remember we shot Kevin going into the store or going into the arcade bar. That was like one of the early, like the first days we had to shoot that, and it was just so we could match the shooting inside the bar, because the bar we had to shoot on Saturday morning and it's supposed to take place at night. So that was kind of fun to kind of marry those two shots together.
And when you bring
you also make a
together
little
all those
cameo right there,
people,
don't you?
and you either it's like coming, you know, in college it was like money or pizza, and nobody has any money. It was just pizza is the only way to motivate anybody. And so if you're doing anything no budget, you're like, thank you, because most people show up to a set and they go, it's been 20 minutes. We're done, right? No, we need you for the whole day, dude. You need to hang out.
Yeah.
Just have a good time. Oh, I gotta go. And so it's like anything else. It's like, hey, we should start a podcast. And then one by one, everybody drops off, because that's what happens with podcasts, because reality kicks in. And these things take time, you know. That's the worst part, is like, Lily, just go get another Costco pizza, for the love of God. We just need to keep this going, because that's the only thing that motivates people, you know, money or food, and there's no money. So it's awesome that all those people showed up to do it. And so obviously when it premiered in Evansville, McCurdy walked me around just the block there, and the arcade is right there. It's right where it's, you know, basically neighboring where the movie premiered. And it was cool. I mean, for me, it was awesome. We even saw the bricks where Kevin, where you kind of like leaned around,
Kevin took the poster.
You know, like the poster. He's like, these are the bricks, you know. So that's always fun for me, because I'd never even been to Evansville before, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I recognize that. Oh,
well, that's
I saw
fun
that
for Ryan
movie.
too. Like anytime he's driving through Atlanta, is like, especially whenever like we first moved there. I don't know if he still does this. Be like, oh yeah, they shot something over there. I recognize that place in the Atlanta film.
Yeah.
Like he's just so excited. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm in Atlanta. This is an Atlanta film.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So anyway, on my end of things,
now you can do that in Evansville. You'd be like, they shot this, and they shot Pears over here in this park, and that was the same park. Like, but that was the other thing, is you had to maximize all of our locations. So if we were like where we shot the Hollis Archer's house, that was like right next to that park. So we were able to we could kind of maximize as many locations as we could in a single area. And that was like the one thing I loved about learning about just making movies, just like, yeah, you figure out, like, you find other locations that are like close by, or like try to reuse a room. Like in the movie Halloween, the Myers house that they use in the beginning of the movie, the inside of that house is actually a different house that they used, and then they reutilized like different rooms for different things and stuff like that.
The fun part, the most fun about filmmaking, is the problem solving. That's where, you know, like, if anybody ever accuses me of being creative, I'm like, no, I'm not. I've never labeled myself a creative. I like solving problems. And it's just, anytime you're shooting, it's just nothing but you have a million problems. And if you're directing, all you're getting, you're fielding questions all day. Pink or purple, big or small, this or that, bald or with hair. And that
was a question we definitely had, because I wanted to shave my head before, and he was like, "No, keep your hair. You're gonna look bad." But,
no, I was
so worth
well, that
it.
was it's funnier when you're balding. It's funnier, but if you're like,
I'm not balding.
If you're like how you are now, it's not as funny. It's like, it's because you look good now, but like when you didn't have your hair was balding, you didn't look as good. But I'm in the same boat.
I mean,
so,
actually,
but our
Corsi,
movie's balding
said
positive.
That she was she was watching this specifically to see me with hair. So.
Oh no, I got it.
It's like a time.
A zombie movie called American History Z.
No.
No. Think about it. Think about it.
For Kevin. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
American History Z. So it's American History X with zombies. To spell it out.
Yeah, man.
That's the next movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Zombies aren't overdone
board.
at all. They were good.
Yeah, we're all on board. Lily,
Well,
go get some
I don't
Costco
know. Does anybody have any
pizzas.
more questions or anything?
I don't think so. What I was saying is that on my end of things, you asked me if I would edit this, and I said, you understand that's just gonna take time away from Ranked. Like we're not gonna it's gonna just prolong this whole podcast thing. You understand that, right? And you said, yeah, well, you edit it. I said, of course I'm going to. Of course I'm going to, because I generally hate what I do. It's not often that you get to do something, just like a random fun narrative movie. It's often a lot of corporate crap that you deal with. So I jumped on it like a grenade, and it's been great. When did this whole thing even begin? When would have been like the first time I got a script? When would that have
Was
been?
it 2020? It's 2024, and then we shot in 2023. So I think
I feel like it was
probably
2 years before that.
2022.
I probably
No, I
cut
think
it.
it was
Well,
like
I
late
started. So
2021.
I wrote like maybe in 2021 I wrote something or started writing something
Okay.
that eventually evolved into this. But then like that sat on a shelf forever, and I didn't do anything for a long period of time because I was busy and I couldn't focus on it. And then around 2022-ish, like then I was really starting to like really hammer the script in and like actually had an outline and starting to focus. And then then it was like 2022, and then sometime like in April or whatever, we're like, okay, we're gonna make this into a movie. Like it was like April or March or something. And then so then we picked, okay, we're gonna start, like we knew it was gonna be in Evansville, and we were going to start shooting in June. So we were like, okay. Then we had to pick a date. We picked 2 weeks. We were going to go up there, film the movie. And then like every day I was going out and filming the movie, and Lily was usually working on food, or she was on set, but like she'd go back and forth. Her mom was helping cook food at home. And then she'd drive the van, come back. It's the same van. The van that Sly and Richie drive is her van. So she was driving back and forth with like
safety and all.
crafty food and snacks, or if we needed to grab stuff.
I think the child safety lock just came from us having.
We had the child safety lock actually on.
It's so good.
That was a happy accident.
Sam wants to know if are you gonna do it in Evansville again? Is Evansville the place?
I might. I am more leaning towards doing another movie in Evansville. I just don't know what that script's gonna look like yet. But yeah, I'll probably go do another Evansville movie.
One of the good things about Evansville is we have a huge support system there. I know even just like my parents watched the kids so that we could both be wherever we needed to be when it came time for set. And then there's just so many people in Evansville that want to help and want to make movies. And there's not a ton of opportunity all the time in Evansville. And so us coming back kind of,
yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
it was fun. But yeah, I think Evansville's great because like there is a lot of and I also think Evansville location wise looks great because you drive only like 10 minutes outside of Evansville and you're in farmland, but then you drive inside and then you have all these really old buildings that aren't even used often. Hey, what's your question?
Is this Dan Hyatt?
This is Dan Hyatt. He's
okay.
Dan Hyatt, who is also the guy who
question?
owns the phone store.
He phrased his statement as a question.
He's just
I have a question.
He's just trolling. He's having a good time right now. Is what he's doing.
Do you?
I'm Ron Burgundy. I basically.
Dang it!
He's
Dan Hyatt always he reads everything.
That Dan Hyatt, man.
All right,
man.
Until he.
But no, I think Evansville's just got a lot of really great locations. There's a lot of great spots that like there are spots in the movie that I wish we could have shot more scenes or done something like the opening credits. There's those like overpasses where like the walking overpasses. I think that stuff is cool. Do I remember you? Yes, I remember you, Dan.
You can see Dan
Who are you
in the movie.
Yeah, what's happening?
For like 2 seconds.
Dan's in the movie as well. He's in the movie as like a bartender in the background, and he's
not bartender.
No, he's playing video games.
He's playing video games, but in that same scene, he's in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing what I'm doing.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, yeah, I would probably shoot another movie in Evansville.
All right, Shawnee Huevos, you got to have another question, bro.
Huevos
is still here, man.
Doesn't have a question.
But yeah, Huevos. By the way, we did end up using,
somebody has to have a question.
We used Huevos.
Aaron Ivy. Okay, but why didn't Kevin Zitt get a credit?
Harsh.
I was so pissed about that Zitt.
Harsh.
I'm not.
Was that throughout the whole thing? I can't even remember.
I got it, I think like 4 or 5 days in, so it was there for like half shit we shot, and I was just like,
swear I didn't even it didn't even register with me. I've removed.
How did it not register with you? You spent like almost a year editing this. Like,
if it would have registered with me, I probably would have tried to remove it, and I think my brain was like, don't. Just ignore it. It's not there.
Yeah.
Because I've done that. I had a short in LA where we shot for 2 days, and this gal had this volcano on her face, and she came over the next day and said, "You have to do something about that." And I think I spent 2 weeks learning how to track and remove zits, and it took so much time. But for you though, it adds to the character. That's where you want
But
that.
it's weird because it goes away. Like it goes away.
But
and
all the
comes back in,
same,
like,
all the
certain
same, it does. But
I don't even know if
you
We
want
didn't
that.
film in order though, so it's like it's there now. It's not. Now
Yeah.
it's there. Now it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
ideally,
the one thing I
so
was-
you're
I was
saying I
gonna
should have
add, though,
added
is,
it.
like,
You're saying I should have digitally added
Yeah.
more.
No.
zits.
Well, originally in the script, because again, like it's supposed to invoke all these old film noir films. So originally in the script, Kevin was supposed to get punched when he gets punched in the face by Yoga Pants. He was going to have a bandage on his nose. And for whatever reason, on the day we were shooting, and again, we had to like shoot fast because I didn't want to waste time. I was like, we gotta keep going. And originally, he was going to have more of like a bandage on his nose for a first half of the movie, and it was supposed to kind of be like
for
Jack
Chinatown.
Nicholson's character in Chinatown.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I think the thing I was going to use just didn't work, and we were like, let's forget about it. But it was one of those things that I kind of wish we had done, because then it would have made some of the jokes land a little bit better, like Tiffany clicking him in the nose and stuff like that. Like that was the idea. Is like he's got this bandage and
People
she flicks
reacted
him in the
really
nose where
strongly
he's
to
still
that
sore.
last night. Like
So,
that got a
maybe people
significant
got it. I don't know.
ooh last night in Franklin.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
They're like he actually got hit. Damn.
Yeah. Like people
Flicked.
did like oh when you got flicked. So
But I feel like we beat up Kevin a lot in this movie. Like just
That's really the
There's-
whole reason.
yeah.
the
we
whole reason I made the movie was just to watch Kevin get beat up multiple ways.
yeah. I'm just sad that I didn't get to throw a punch.
I
I
mean,
don't know
too.
why you didn't write that in there.
I
Guy
should've
randomly
wrote that
comes
in
out
there.
of nowhere to beat up Kevin.
Punches him in the face.
Yeah,
No motivation.
No
just
mo-
does it.
yeah.
would
Just
help me a
does it.
lot. So
Question: what's harder, writing it or shooting it?
huevos. Someday we're gonna speak. We're gonna teach you
Okay.
the English language. spelled writing. WRIGHTING.
I love that.
I mean, when
No,
you say
but that is
it's
like-
Huevos, you're the man.
Ryan, don't you think it'd be
Writing?
writing? Because I mean, here's the thing: it's like coming up with that idea, and then
That's-
figuring out like what you're gonna even film.
That's a really good question, because I'm like thinking about it, because it's like when you sit down to write something, you have to come up with all these ideas, and it's not just like what happens in the movie. It's like, what is he gonna say? Where are they going to be? How is that gonna read on the script, on the page? Like all those things. That's hard. Like and that's a lot of time you have to take. But the great thing about it is like you're not limited. I think that's the difference, though. It's like you're not limited by anything. You can imagine whatever you want to imagine. You could create characters, you can create locations, you can do all that stuff. And then eventually you'll have to go back and go, oh, we got to rewrite it and change it.
Yeah.
When you're
If
shooting
you mess up the writing, it's gonna make the shooting impossible. It's gonna really make it
But
terrible.
then when you shoot it, but when you're going to shoot the movie, that's almost easier in some ways, because you go in there and you're like, well, I already know what we're doing because I have the script. So now it's just a matter of like knowing, okay, this is the shots we're going to get for this scene. This is the coverage I need. All right, we need to get this, like, and it's like a checklist once you get to that point. But then again, you're also limited, because there was stuff in this movie that like, I wanted to do something like this, or I wanted to do this thing or whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do all those stuff. So,
That's true for writing though too, because you're also limited. Because it's not. I guess it's not like you have a giant budget, so you have to limit. You have to think about who you can cast, where you
Right.
can shoot.
Well,
like-
when you first write, I think the tricky thing is like when you're writing it, it's like you have to come up with ideas, and that can be hard, but you're not limited. But then when you go to the movies, when you're making the movie, you're limited, but then it's like you can play with what you already have there too. So I don't know. That's a good question, Huevos. I don't know the true answer. But for me, maybe, I don't know, writing's the hardest. I guess I'll go with writing. What about you,
think that's
Kevin?
the no, I 100%. I mean, think about all the conversations where you're like, "What's the next movie we want to do? What is it gonna? What is
Yeah,
it
I
gonna
have
be,
no idea.
Kevin? What is it gonna be? I don't know.
What is it
man."
going to be?
You
And
put
it's just
all
like-
that
Yeah.
time, you put years into the writing so that when you're shooting it, you don't have regrets later. That's why the writing is writing's difficult because there are an infinite amount of places to go, right? Of options
Right.
and decisions and all that. But then at the end of that process, if you can perfect that, then you go. That's what allows you to then go off and shoot a movie in 12 days. You can't shoot a movie in 12 days if you're still writing it. And that's where it's asinine that there are all these instances where, like, for us growing up, it's like, oh yeah, they make Pirates 3 before they've finished the script. Are you out of your mind? You're
Well,
gonna roll the
that's
dice on
going on right
hundreds
now. I
of
mean,
millions
you've got-
of dollars? What is
That's
wrong with
going on
you?
right
But
now.
they
There's a
do
lot
it all
of
the
big,
time.
there's all these big movies now, like a lot of the Marvel films. They will start shooting them. They don't even have an exact. Like, I remember talking to somebody about a specific Marvel film, and they told me, they're like, "Yeah, we don't even know what the third. We just figured out what the third act is.
Yeah.
They had just figured that out. They didn't know what exactly it was going to be,
Yeah.
but they had just figured it out, and they were still in the middle of production. That's that, but it's crazy. But when you're doing something on a low budget, you got to know. We got to know like everything like ahead of time. So Kevin knew what the script was going to be. He knew, like, you knew how the movie ended and all that stuff. But then when you see it on screen, it's a lot different because there are subtle things that are different, and then the tone you're not 100% sure. Because that was the thing a lot of people told me when they read the script. They like, and they went and saw the movie. They're like, "Wait, this was a comedy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was a comedy the whole time." And they're like, "I didn't get that out of the script." And a lot of it came out of like the performances or the scenarios or how it was framed.
But even the music guy who came down to, I think it was both of us. He's like, I didn't realize how funny it was gonna be. I was like, you watched it, you did the music for it. Like,
Yeah.
that was kind of surprising for me. But yeah, until you get into like in front of an audience, which is like the most exciting part, but also the most nerve-wracking part because you don't know how they're gonna respond. If they respond great, it's fantastic, and you're like, oh yeah, this work. Like even things that you didn't think were that funny, all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was a really good joke because everyone else is like laughing really hard about it.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to be really clever about stuff, but sometimes it's like we were saying, it's just like the layup jokes. They always hit. People respond to them, and then even down to, I think in my initial cut, I didn't include in the torture scene, right, with the shears. I didn't include because
you just had one
I
shot.
think I didn't see it. There was one shot, the one where you're like oh, and he's going snip snip snip, and he's lowering it down, and you're like, please get away from my testicles. I think that wasn't in one of my first edits, and that's one of those where McCurdy was like, you got to go find that. You have to plug that in, and I found it. I was like, oh, I didn't even see it. But that
there was
stuff,
a bunch of little things.
like,
but I think that was the thing.
written
There was a bunch of little things
in
the edits.
But in in
a lot of stuff in the edits were
with
like
the blade
hey,
going
this is funny,
down,
we gotta
and
put
you're
this
being
in
like, oh, that's
you
where
know what
everything
another
comes
one was,
across.
Charlie? I remember in that same scene though. No, it wasn't that one. It was the one with Derek when they had Derek tied up. There was something like we were going back and like finessing all the edits in the movie and like trying to find better takes or whatever, fixing things that I was like, oh, I don't like this. And there was one where I don't think you saw it in the original one, but it was where the two of them turn to each other and say meat grinder. I don't think that was in the original cut. And I think we just were going
we just
through
saw it and
we're
we're like,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to put that in there. So that always I think that gets a pretty good laugh too. But like, yeah, all the little gag jokes, people seem to find those funny. And I was always shocked. Like when we did the premiere, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, I didn't think that was going to get that big a laugh as it did, but it did. So I was like, okay, cool. But
then you
fun.
plant me in the audience with a flask of whiskey, and I'll get the laughs.
There you go.
That's
all you need.
Huevos, do you have any other questions, Brian?
Well, there's a couple of questions. Here is it. What the shots were really rad as shit.
They're asking about
arcade.
when can they get a Blu-ray?
A Blu-ray. I honestly have not been thinking about doing that at all. Unfortunately, we are looking at trying to get this. Like we're trying to looking at getting it on Tubi or Amazon Prime, but that's a whole process I'm still working on.
Is that when I
but
get
as
my
far as
$3?
physical copy, yeah, you get $3.
When do I get my percentage?
$3 hairs. I don't know.
Because I did this for money.
And I make my $3,000 back.
Oh.
I don't know why we're talking about this on a Q&A. This is weird. We shouldn't even be talking about this. I don't even know why you're
for
bringing
me,
this up.
McCurdy?
Okay. Anyway, as far as a physical copy go, I haven't that's something I just haven't explored yet. So I don't know if that's something that I would go to somebody to try to do or whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure. But as far as seeing it on a better, I think because like seeing it on YouTube, they do a lot of compression. So I'm hoping when we put it on Tubi or one of these other channels, that you'll see like a better quality version of the movie.
Well, and again, it should be better quality when it's not streaming, because like I said earlier, like even like live streams that are like professional, like by multi-million-dollar companies and multi-billion-dollar companies, I don't watch it live because it just comes out like trash.
Yeah.
But so I'm assuming that once it's, I mean, probably if you went back and rewatched it now that it's over, it would probably look crystal clear fine. I don't know that, but
yeah, I don't know.
All right, ad-libbing. What was the ad-libbing situation?
Ad-libbing. So yeah, Joe. So one of the first, so Leo and Gilpatrick, who play Sly and Richie. So they were like the first, besides Kevin, they were the only other two people that I knew who were going to play them. Like I knew like
in the script. I said McCurdy. I don't understand these two. These guys are so dumb. I don't know how you're going to pull this off. And he was like, trust me, I know these guys. I know the guys who are going to play them. It's going to work fine. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching the footage being like, oh, okay. Suddenly they're the best part of the movie.
So I was like, I knew these guys. So I knew Leo and Joe, and like because they do a lot of ad-libbing. They do not impromptu. What is it called? Improv. Sorry, thank you. They do improv shows and stuff, and they do long form improv shows. So they're like an hour and a half of just improving a random storyline that they'll do the whole show. It's crazy. They'll play all the characters and everything. So I knew I had to have these guys in the movie, and I think they would add. I wish I had put them more into the movie, honestly. But they had a lot of times to do ad-lib scenes, because I knew like the scenes when they're sitting there in the van, I knew that they would be able to ad-lib some stuff. But there's like little moments that like I didn't write that in the script. They just did it as their performance of like Joe doing this when they're like, this is what you were doing with her and things like that. Like that was
her Zippo choice.
that was all Joe. We had a whole reel of just them going back and forth on just like what was in the script, and then they added to it, and they just kept going. Like there was one bit where they were like, "Your help. This is my sister car. What's in the car?" And like there was other stuff. They didn't work necessarily, but the best ones were in there. So that stuff was fun. Yeah, that was for sure fun.
And I honestly don't remember any of the stuff I improv. Like it just feels like, other than I'm pretty sure and Charlie and I were talking about this earlier while you were gone, right? It was like I'm just a normal dick or whatever in my monologue, like. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm not a private dick. I'm just a regular dick or whatever. Like, that was improv. And then I think,
the whole scene where you're on the computer. That whole scene was
that
improv.
Entire scene was like an improv.
Basically, we didn't have a script, and I was like, I came back to shoot extra footage, and I didn't think, oh yeah, maybe I should write a whole thing, because originally I thought I was just gonna get B-roll. And so then we like sat down, and I would just kind of feed Kevin some like things I wanted him to say. But like the lemon party joke, like that was something I was like, I wanted to do that for a friend because he thought that would be funny. Can I delete that? But delete that. That's the best part of that. That whole thing is just like, wait a minute, can I delete that? Yeah, but all those little jokes, that whole scene's all improv. Like it's just kind of like we sort of fed lines. Yeah. Eddie Hightower, I'm coming for that ass. That was all Kevin.
To the point where Kevin, you were like, "Why'd you put that in there?" Or maybe as you guys were shooting it, he was like, "Don't use that," or something like that. We're like, "No, it's too funny." It's coming for that.
I was the one thing that I was hoping he'd use, but it didn't really make sense. I'm glad he didn't do it. Was the improv line where I changed the I'm not balding. I had what's wrong with my green jacket? Like just because I thought it was like so funny that she said pencil dick, she says balding, she says all the terrible things. I'm like
green jacket, pencil dick, balding
pencil dick. Yeah. I think when I did think about that later, and I was like, well, I mean, there was a part of me that's like, oh, maybe we should have done the joke, because it's like comedy is a lot of just like what you don't expect. So you would expect the balding joke, but I think because it's like right on it, and also like, why would he say, like, it would be like revealing that it was him or whatever if he had said the other thing. It's like, what's wrong with my green jacket? And then him saying, but I'm not balding, like he's like saying I'm not balding, like no, that can't be me, but it's obviously him because we all know that's him. But
So okay, Huevos is saying though, get this, Huevos loves I'm a roadman. I'm a roadman.
So you can get that.
Jeff
So
Gordon.
Huevos, you can get Roadman on. I think I got to find the website, but so it's a friend of mine who I used to work with. He has a punk band, and like they call themselves like the worst punk band, the worst band ever. Like all their songs are really short. They're like 1 minute, 2 minutes. But they have all their songs for free online that you can get. The band's called God 2, and spelled God 2, the number 2. And there are a bunch of punk songs. I used another one for the trailer, but our favorite, like Charlie and I, when we were editing the movie, it was like the first song we threw in the film because we knew we were going to need a song in that moment of the movie. And the one that Charlie originally picked was like some country song or something that you knew somebody, but I was like, yeah, this movie's got to be a little more.
It was like,
yeah, and I was like, this movie's got to be punk rock and fun.
Yeah, and then it became
roadman. And the whole lyrics are, I'm a roadman, Jeff Gordon. I know this roadman. Like it's so dumb, but but it goes along with the movie, and it's great. So it's one of my favorite things we added.
Okay, so and then,
someone asked Sam asked about the music cues and the original composition. So my friend Daniel Roach, who does that I've worked with multiple times, he does the music. He's done the music for pretty much most of my movies. He did all the music for this, so it's all original all original songs for the entire movie.
And he provided just cool. Like a run of just like just riffs of like quick riffs, like wah, 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 or bow now, and then we would just go this one kind of fits this moment where Pears would figure something out. Maybe we'd give a little sting there, or or even when the
or like the guy he's like he finds out,
and it's like bow, yeah. So yeah, everybody super chat so we can get the movie professionally mixed because it's probably the only thing that it needs at this point. Is a professional.
There's the link for. I don't know if that link came through, but that's the link for the band if you want to get.
Yeah, there you go.
If you want to listen to the rest of their songs, they honestly don't have that many songs, which I'm upset about. I wish they would, make some more music. But
okay, I mentioned this earlier. Huevos, we did take your song. I told you way back your ranked song, so we're gonna use it at some point. It is the series. We put it over the series credits, the James Bond series credits in the No Time to Die episode, and it's awesome. It's perfect. So thank you for that, brother.
So
I'm just gonna I don't know if I'm the only one just over here playing.
I think we can wind down. I think we've answered pretty much most of the questions tonight. I don't have it.
We can wind down. We could sit here for hours.
We could.
We might lose Kevin though.
We could.
But
we might,
yeah.
But
Kevin, real quick, you're are you? Did you jamboree all day? Do you want to... We can't hear you anymore.
Sorry, I muted myself real quick. Oh. Yeah, no, I haven't played it all today.
Oh, okay. All right. I got to go buy that myself, but...
yeah, I was actually going to ask if you wanted to join in, but unless you buy it digitally, you will not be able to... Because that's what I'm going to do immediately after this. So my friend is literally in the other room, like, waiting for me.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's like, we want to play jamboree, man.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I think everybody at this point is aware of your channel, but if you're not, I could put that in the video description. But also, our subscriptions tab has your channels, so I can add that stuff later.
Kevra and Kevra's Vault. Oh yeah, that's another fun thing is it's the lock guy. That was all because making fun of you, Kevin.
Making fun of you.
Every video you go, it's Kevra. Yeah. So we're like, we got to put that in our movie.
It's the lock guy.
Yeah, so if there's any subscribers here who are watching right now, I hope they got that joke because I forgot that was in there and I laughed so hard. And I'm probably the only one who probably even laughed at that joke in the theater.
Yeah.
When I watched that a month ago, I was like, oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and we snuck my face in there along with Nan's. And if you look at it, it's like we were like, what's the dumbest YouTube clickbait thing ever? It's like 50 things you didn't know about eggs. Because like Nan's had a thing about eggs. I don't remember. but we
I don't
rolled with
remember.
it.
It was something really
was
silly.
something
It was really
stupid.
silly. I don't
Everything's
even
stupid.
understand why he did
Everything's
it.
stupid.
But that was something you, Charlie, you put that whole thing together, because that's in the script that he's watching a YouTube video, and I was like, Charlie, I need you to second unit direct
Go make a
this
YouTube
whole
video.
thing,
Yeah.
which you also ad-libbed like that. Like there's lines in the script that are just like very basic, like first you take this and then you do this, but then you added like the mom's legs on Christmas and all that extra stuff that was like really
Everything that
funny,
I was
so.
like, use
That
what
stuff
you
was great.
want. I'm gonna be as abrasive and stupid as possible, so you decide what goes in or not. And like by the end, it was like in Evansville, in Franklin, it was so quiet. I don't think anybody picked up on it, and plus everybody was like 75 years old, 87 years old. But
well, the one joke, the mom's leg on Christmas, I think gets a big laugh every time. So.
I don't remember last night, but yeah, and that's always the fun stuff. It's just like, hey, like, do you want this? Do you want to put that in? And that's the director's job to be like, yes to this, no to that. I like that. That's funny. That's funny, but I don't know if it belongs here. And we kind of, there was like, what I sent you was like 2 or 3 minutes, and Kevin, you just sat in the car and watched it as it was being filmed, and then in the edit we kind of decided what would go in and what wouldn't. And it was like, you don't want to go too far with it. You don't want to draw too much attention to this dumb YouTube video, but if you can maybe sneak in a laugh here and there. And then also, I remember hearing people in going, because what you're banking on is that people are going to put 2 and 2 together. And I remember during the premiere in Evansville, people were like, "Oh yeah, that's like when in the end of the movie, when you're using the paperclip to get into the door, people are going, "Oh yeah, that's the video that was set up in the video." Like I heard people actually say that, and that's what you hope for. You hope to give the breadcrumbs, and that people will put 2 and 2 together. And often they do. You know, people are often smarter than like Hollywood gives them credit for. Hollywood's like, no, everybody's stupid, you know. But most people in an audience are paying attention, and they put 2 and 2 together.
That was good.
You know what I'm saying? All right, anything else, fellas, or do you want to wrap up? I could sit here and drink Jack all night, so don't.
I was just gonna say, because I think somebody had asked questions on any more awards. I brought our awards to
our participation
so we won.
trophy.
It's our participation trophy that we won. My kids love this because they're like, it's got a butt on it, so they love that. It's our award. It's our Audience Choice Award from Victory Film Festival, which was a great film festival. And then yesterday. This was yesterday. It just feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
We won best Indiana feature length film at the Torchfire Film Festival.
Hold it up.
And it was a really nice award. I just thought checking this out was pretty cool. So it was a cool award.
They really put some care into the design of that thing. So yeah, it's cool.
It's nice.
So, but yeah, did Kevin and
But as far as other awards, I don't know.
Did we get our $3? Did Kevin and I get our $3?
Also, can we get our awards for the participation trophy? Where's our participation trophies?
Break off the butt. Break off the butt and keep that and give us the rest.
What is that? What was in that movie? What was it in Mean Girls where she's like, "You all deserve it," and then she starts breaking the crown and throws it to everybody?
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's just start breaking the trophy and be like, "You get a piece. You get a piece."
Yeah. All right.
But I mean, I think the thing we are getting at though is like, you know, we make this movie and it's like, yeah, I wrote it and directed it, but like it is a team effort, and like we as a team even with, you know, Lily and everybody, it's like, it's crazy. We made this thing, we made this movie and for like nothing, and it's great, and it was a great piece of entertainment.
Dude,
people laughed, and it was a good time.
I've said this a million times.
I can't thank everybody here enough.
I've said this a million times.
Don't
to you.
say it again.
I'm going to say it for the audience. The way it works, because I remember explaining that to a buddy of mine, where I said, when you're directing something, you get credit for everything. You get this idea came from here or there or whatever. But you get...
They're like, the director, and then
you get
like,
all
that's
the credit.
Not who came up with
my buddy said, that's unfair. That is so unfair. And I said, you don't understand, bro. The way it works is
a double-edged sword.
If it's a failure, you get credit for it being a failure, and you're probably never going to work again. But if it's a success, you get all the credit there. So, and every single filmmaker that's ever existed, they abide by that law, right? Like, you think Scorsese is coming up with absolutely everything? He's a genius of a man and an artist, but he's not coming up with absolutely everything. There's always going to be people that you've never heard of who are feeding into this machine. And then there's some people who come up with incredible ideas, and Sam Mendes comes along and steals it out from underneath them, and then they have to just go die in obscurity.
You're done.
But
You're done.
but
You're done.
as it goes, anybody can come up with an idea. But it's if this movie sucked horribly, then you live or die by that, right? So so it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're the coach, and you win a Super Bowl or two or whatever. That's all anybody cares about. So it was a fun ride for everybody, but at this point, nobody cares anymore. Now that it's premiered, nobody cares. Now it's time to move on to the next thing. So that's up to you to figure out. In the meantime, I don't know if I might be the only dummy drinking, but I'll just cheers. I'll just cheers to all of us.
Cheers.
So we always have to end on
cheers
cheers
to all of us. We have to cheers to all of us. But yes, and yeah, thank you again, thank you guys for being a part of the movie, and thank you everybody who came to watch the film. And it'll be up for the rest of the day, and then into tomorrow, and then we're gonna take it down.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to watch it again, you can watch it again.
So it has
or you have to wait till Amazon or Tubi or something comes up.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. And then watch it a bunch, because I think you'll get revenue from views on those platforms, right? That's how that works.
Yeah.
Great.
So it'll be fun.
All right, to you fellas, for your like sprint through a 2-week shoot, good work. And then it was like a year of us editing. It was good times in this basement, going insane.
Oh my gosh.
So to us, as Scaramanga says, to us, but to you guys,
to us.
Cheers, fellas.
Thanks, man.
All right. Good night, everybody.